Hello and welcome. We've brought in the experts from My Tax Accountant today to tackle a question that gives a lot of people sleepless nights. What do you do when you spot a mistake on the tax return you've already sent to HMRC? Don't worry, it happens. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to fix it step by step. Let's dive in.
You know the feeling. You've spent hours getting everything together, you've triple-checked the numbers, and you finally hit that submit button. Whew, it's done. But then, a few hours or maybe a few days later, it hits you, that cold, sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. You forgot something, an invoice, an expense, whatever it is, the panic is real.
Okay, first things first. Take a deep breath. And whatever you do, do not panic. Honestly, this is so much more common than you think, and HMRC has a proper system in place for corrections. With a little help from the pros at My Tax Accountant, we're going to walk you through exactly how to handle this the right way.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by talking about why it's okay that mistakes happen. Then we'll cover the easy fix, the 12-month window. What happens if you're past that? We've got a section on that too. We'll also cover how to claim a refund, what you need to know about penalties, and finally, your clear path forward.
Right, so let's get into our first point. The most important thing to remember is that you are definitely not the first person to do this. Making an error on a tax return is incredibly common. Forgetting to declare a bit of side hustle income or getting your self-employed expenses wrong, it happens all the time. What really matters is what you do next. Let's make this a bit more real. Meet Ben. Ben's a freelance web developer based in London. He's on top of his game, just filed his 2025/26 tax return, and is feeling pretty good about it. But then he realizes he completely forgot to include a big £5,000 invoice. His heart just drops. So what on earth should Ben do? Okay, this brings us to the first and by far the simplest solution on the table. For someone like Ben, who's spotted his mistake pretty quickly, there's a really straightforward process. It's all thanks to something called the amendment window. So, the very first thing you need to do is look at a calendar. Seriously, the path you take from here completely depends on how long it's been since the filing deadline for that specific tax year. This one check decides everything. And this is the timeline that matters. For Ben's 2025/26 return, the tax year itself ends on April 5th, 2026. He has to file it online by January 31st, 2027, but here's the crucial date. He has a full 12 months after that filing deadline to make changes. So for Ben, he has until January 31st, 2028 to easily amend his return online. So how does he actually do it? Well, if he filed online, it's a piece of cake. He just has to wait about 72 hours for his first submission to process. Then he logs back into his government gateway account, finds the 2025/26 tax year, clicks amend return, fixes the numbers, and resubmits. Simple. Now, if he filed on paper, it's a bit more old school. He'd need to get the right form pages, fill them in with the new info, and write amendment clearly at the top of each new page before popping them in the post to HMRC. But what if Ben was super busy and didn't spot his mistake until, say, February 2028? That 12-month window would have just slammed shut. Now, a lot of people would think, well, that's it then. It's too late. But it's not. There's another way. It's called an overpayment relief claim. And stay with me here. This next point is absolutely vital if you found a mistake from a few years ago. Overpayment relief isn't just sending a quick email. It's a formal, legal process all laid out in the Taxes Management Act. It's specifically designed for these exact situations where you've paid too much tax because of a mistake, but the normal one-year deadline for changes has already passed. So what's the time limit for this? Well, you actually have 4 years. That's 4 years from the end of the tax year you made the mistake in. So for Ben's 2025/26 tax year, which ended on April 5th, 2026, he would have until April 5th, 2030 to get his claim in. It's a pretty generous time frame, but once that date passes, it's gone for good. All right, so you've missed the 12-month window, but you're still inside the 4-year limit. How do you actually go about making this claim? It does take a bit more work than a simple online amendment, but don't worry, the process is very clear. Let's break it down step by step. Really, it all comes down to these 4 steps. First, you gather your evidence. You've got to prove you overpaid. Second, you have to write a formal letter explaining it all. Third, you send everything to HMRC by post. And fourth, you wait for them to review it and, fingers crossed, send you your repayment. Now let's look at what's involved in each of those. But hang on, before we do, here's a quick pro tip from the team. Anytime you're posting something important to HMRC, especially a claim like this, always use a service like Royal Mail's Signed For. It might cost a few quid more, but that proof of delivery can be an absolute lifesaver if your documents go missing. Okay, back to step 1, your evidence. This is where you build your case. You can't just tell HMRC you overpaid. You have to show them. You'll need things like your official tax calculations, your P60s, payslips, bank statements, anything that backs up your claim. But the absolute golden ticket is a new, clear calculation showing what you should have paid versus what you did pay. Make it as easy as possible for them to see the mistake. Now, this is really important. In your letter to HMRC, you absolutely must include this exact sentence. This is a formal legal declaration. Did you know that leaving this single sentence out is one of the top reasons claims get rejected straight away? So make sure it's in there and that you've signed and dated it. So far, we've been talking about mistakes where you've paid too much tax. But what about Ben's situation? His forgotten invoice means he's actually underpaid his tax. This is where we have to talk about penalties and why being upfront is always the best move. HMRC penalties all come down to your behavior, and look at how quickly they ramp up. If your mistake was a genuine careless error, like Ben's, the penalty can be up to 30% of the extra tax you owe. If they decide it was deliberate, you knew about it but didn't declare it, that jumps to a whopping 70%. And if it was deliberate and concealed, meaning you actively tried to hide it, the penalty can be 100%. That means you'd pay the tax you owe, and then the same amount again as a fine. So what's your secret weapon against these penalties? It's this phrase right here, unprompted disclosure. It just means you tell HMRC about the mistake before they find it themselves. Coming forward voluntarily shows you're trying to do the right thing. That one action can slash penalties, and in the case of a careless error, it can sometimes get them wiped out completely. Phew, we've covered a lot of ground there, from the simple 12-month fix all the way to formal claims and the scary topic of penalties. So let's pull all that information together into a clear, simple path forward for you. If you only remember a few things, make it these. For new mistakes, you've got that easy 12-month amendment window. For older mistakes where you've overpaid, remember the 4-year overpayment relief rule. Penalties are all about your behavior, so be proactive. Telling HMRC first is always your best defense. And the final, most important point, if you're even slightly unsure, don't just guess. Get some professional advice. At the end of the day, getting this stuff right isn't just about the money. It's about having peace of mind. If you're in this boat and you'd rather have an expert handle it for you, the team at My Tax Accountant are brilliant. They can prepare the claim, talk to HMRC for you, and just take that weight off your shoulders. You can give them a call on 0208-570-8531 or drop an email to info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. And just the necessary legal bit, please remember that the information we've shared today is for general guidance. Everyone's tax situation is different, so it's always best to speak to a qualified professional before you make any big financial decisions. I really hope you found this guide helpful and, more importantly, reassuring. The tax system can seem like a maze, but there's almost always a way to get things sorted. The most important step is always the first one, deciding to fix it. If this was useful, please do hit that subscribe button on the My Tax Accountant channel for more great tax tips. Thanks so much for watching.